Hey everybody, it's Scott with GuitarAndBass.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Listen, today I want to talk about distortion. Okay, so some questions on distortion, how to get a good distortion tone, these kinds of things. You know, we've all been there. I've been there. There are so many tones now to choose from. You know, if you think about it back in the day, like in the 60s, man, so much easier, right? You only had really one choice: to get an amplifier and, you know, crank it up, turn it all the way up, and then you would get your tone. So then you could really just focus on playing and learning your licks. And then, you know, one pedal comes in. In a lot of ways, you know, less is more. But today, you know, today with everything, with all the thousands of pedals, the you know, the software, man. So even just the other day, I was sitting around like playing with my iPad and all the amp simulators, and, you know, kind of just tweaking out some stuff, and that's fun. But after I'm done, I feel like I just channel surfed. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I didn't really work on any licks. I didn't learn a song. I just channel surfed with tones. Nah, it's not a terrible thing, right? You know, every once in a while. But I guess my point is, there's so many options that we can get lost in that. So here's what I want to do: share with you some of my experience and some tips just to get on to, you know, something that's going to work for you, and you can just get into playing, practicing, jamming, whatever. Alright, so let's just simplify it. Let's keep it simple. When you think of distortion, I mean, there are tons of different types of boxes and stuff like that, but really there's only two kinds of sounds. You've got a clean sound, you've got a sound that has no distortion in it, clean, and then you have sound that has distortion added into it. Maybe a little bit, maybe a middle amount, or maybe a ton. And really, these boxes and these pedals and effects are just capturing certain spectrums of that. So if you kind of keep that in mind, it's really all one. It's one thing, from clean, there's no distortion in the frequency, to a lot of distortion. And so now let's bring it back to playing. I mean, when you're playing and covering, let's say you're covering songs or playing a broad variety of music, you only need, in my opinion, 3 tones. Okay, so you need your clean tone. Now with my clean tone, I just break it up a little bit with gain, so it's not, you know, it's kind of, this is a Vox modeling amp, so it simulates a little bit of that 2 breakup. So yeah, it's clean, but it actually does have a little bit of distortion, but I like that. So clean, so that's going to get me through, you know, a lot. Anything out of cover that's got, you know, R&B, Motown, a lot of styles. You need your clean style. So you need your clean style. Alright. Then you need a little bit of distortion, which is mainly called overdrive, but I mean, that's just a distinction. It's just a middle amount of distortion. That's good for, you know, some tunes that have a little more energy in them. So let's add a little overdrive. And that's a great rhythm guitar sound for most, you know, most rock tunes. So, overdrive probably, and that's distortion, right? That's distortion, but that's the amount of distortion that you can use it on a lot of tunes. I can increase the distortion on my overdrive. You know, I can get it even a little more overdrive if I want. Yeah. Right? So even within an overdrive pedal or an overdrive setting, you've got levels of distortion. Alright? But your overdrive, that's the one that's going to give you the most mileage. Alright? So we've got clean, we've got our overdrive, and then for some really strong leads that cut through the mix, we want even more distortion, right? Kind of the most distortion, because that's going to give us the most sustain. So a couple ways I could do it. You know, if you have an overdrive pedal, you can just turn the level all the way up, or I mean the gain all the way up. That's pretty heavy, right? It's heavy and kind of a maybe staying still on the pop rocky side of heavy. So that's just my overdrive setting, full gain. All right. So really three tones. Clean. Let's recap. Clean. All right. Now, if you're using a you know, for live performance, you need some kind of foot switching device, right? Because you can't reach down and between during the song. So what your pedals are doing are really setting you up those 3 levels, right? Clean. And then the overdrive pedal. Now the problem with just using the overdrive pedal for your middle distortion and your lead is that you'd have to go down and increase the gain for a lead. So you can't do that. So you'd either need to have, you're generally going to have a 3rd pedal that's for your lead, you know, your heavy distortion sound. So you got your clean sound, pedals off. Ah, it's time for the solo for that song. So I click on my pedal. So that gives me, you know, a little bit of juice in there. So clean sound, overdrive sound, and then my lead channel. Now, on this amp, let's pretend I've got like kind of a super distortion pedal, so I just can really heat up the lead. So I'm going to crank over to my to that setting, which I can't really see very well, but we'll do. Okay, yeah, here we go. And this is where when you're in the you know, the guitar shop, you're kind of testing out your pedals just to get the sound you want, because there's so many different, you know, distortion sounds where you're getting full distortion, but the boxes will have different things, like the way it's EQ'd, or you know, there'll be subtle differences to the sound. So maybe I got a really heavy song, so I want full on distortion. Maybe even a little bit more gain on that. So that would cut through any mix, right? All right, so simplifying the whole distortion gamut here for practical purposes of playing. Obviously you've got your clean sound with maybe a little bit of gain on it, right? A little distortion. You've got your middle distortion that's great for most rhythm guitar, and you know, even, you know what I like to use overdrive for if I'm going to use it for a lead? Let's say I am playing a song that is very clean, a clean song. Well, then I go up 1 notch of distortion for the solo, and that would be overdrive, right? So kind of I'm grading my amounts of distortion. That's just one way. I mean, you could go crazy. You know, you could have a juxtaposition of clean and then full-on crazy tone for your solo. But if you're kind of like working up in gradual gradations of distortion, clean, and then, you know, the solo from if your rhythm guitar is clean, the solo overdrive would be nice. If your bass tone for a song is overdrive, you know, if it's a more of an up-tempo song or thicker song, then, you know, for your solo, you want it a little hotter. And with the foot switching, you can just push right on your hot channel, your super distortion, super saturation, leave your overdrive on if you want to. You can click them both off depending on what you want. Click your overdrive off, go on to your distortion, or leave your overdrive on and just pop on your distortion. It's going to even boost it more. Alright, so hopefully that helps a little bit in cracking the code of so many options out there. If you think of it as just 3 tones, find your 3 tones. Clean, maybe with a little bit of breakup gain on it. Clean, your overdrive tone, and then your hot sauce tone, your lead tone. And I'm telling you what, with those 3 tones, you can play most songs, and what's even better, you can focus on your playing. You're not trying to get all your, you're not trying to tweak tones while you're at the show or the concert. You've got your tones, then you're going to focus on the playing, getting into the song, and it's really enjoyable and very, very musical. Alright, well thanks for checking out this video. Look forward to seeing you next time.